Hi Mimma, how are you doing?
Hi, Georgie. I'm fine. How are you doing, dear?
I'm doing well. I can't believe that we're now at the end of Fashion Week. It's gone so speedily fast.
It's incredible how fast it was. Maybe because we didn't have long nights and working weekends and lost track of time in our normal lives, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But really exciting. I think a lot of designers have really pushed the boat out with digital, phygital. I think Paris was particularly long, particularly weird. It was quite a good one. Did you have anything that leapt out at you over Paris Fashion Week?
Well, if I want to summarize, and I will try to, is that I had some incredible excitement and some incredible disappointment and everything in between, like, I don't even remember that because it was so useless, and in a way, that's what I was expecting, but I had some surprises. And apart from all the young that I would like us to talk about because they deserve such big round of applause, but in the big one, for me, the absolute winner, not only for presentation, but also collections, are Margiela and Vuitton. Another one, I have to say, that I think he did it the best way, in the best relevant modern way, is Jonathan Anderson for Loewe. I thought that was absolutely fantastic as well.
Well, I think what all three of those have in common is that they really pushed the boundary of creativity in this odd kind of space that we're living in now. A lot of people did a show with then a digital version or a live stream or a small fashion film, but actually all three of those really, really pushed the boat out in creating something that was crafty and celebrated art and history and tech. And, Louis Vuitton was a technical feat. It was amazing.
And I feel like saying, duh, I mean, yes. Not only they have the brains to do that, and that's what we expect from a designer, to bring us towards something creative, but also they have the means. And so I wouldn't expect less from Louis Vuitton, and they delivered 100%. And so did John with Nick, and so did JW with a lesser, firework thing, but so perfect and so beautiful and so creative and so beautifully executed. And by the way, those three people, in the meantime, delivered three fantastic collections. I think Nicolas was probably his best for Vuitton. I think he's in top form.
I absolutely agree. I think it was a stunning collection, and it's everything I love about him at Vuitton. It was just such a brilliant amalgamation of everything that he does so well. I was so pleased.
But you also could see how much these three great minds had time to think. And so I think they were less rushed, and that's why the best of what they are came out.
Yeah, which is something we've been saying quite a lot in these, is that actually the time has really been benefiting. I have to say, I think for me, some of the brands that succeeded more than others are the ones that did pure film, but really went gung-ho with kind of creating an imagination, a narrative, like Tebe, for example, this beautiful film, fantastic collection, and just weaving this really brilliant narrative, showing us his references. It was just beautiful. I think also Marine Serre was basically a short film. It was magnetic and just brilliant, and everything she does bottled into this completely enrapturing cinematic experience, basically.
Yeah, I put them on top of my ranking, Tebe, Marine Serre, and also Wells Bonner. I mean, the three of them were so sincere and honest and so in touch with reality, with subtle messages that were not that subtle, especially in Marine Serre. And beautiful collection. And the collections had something to do with what they were showing. And they don't have huge means, and yet they delivered little docu/fashion films. They are fantastic, and I'm so grateful for this new generation to give such a lesson on honesty.
I agree, and also I think it's very important to say, while they were beautiful films and documentaries and watching, stories unravel, these collections were arguably some of the best they've shown yet. And I think to do both when such huge houses still haven't grasped how to find the digital, how to think outside the box, is a real testament to their talents. And
as for collection, for me, the one who's grown the most is Tebe.
Yes.
Tebe. He was very good before, and that's why also he won all those awards. But I think that's where I saw the longest and deepest jump in collection, and I'm so happy because I like him so much. I like the person a lot as well. I think Marine and Wales Bonner, they declare Wales Bonner, they both were established and are established, and they delivered again. But I was the most impressed by the improvement or the maturity of Thebe.
I also want to spotlight Balenciaga because I think they did something quite fun and witty, which was very much needed on the schedule, I think. And just creating something that was a bit tongue-in-cheek, something that works really well with the brand. Also a comment on today, it was sustainable sourced materials. It was one size fits all. It was trying to be genderless. And actually, I think had they not had those elements in the collection, it might not have had such a punch and had such a ripple effect. But I think with all of that as a combined package, having sunglasses at night and kind of fun walking down the Paris streets, and then having something ethical to back it up, that to me is brilliant.
Listen, I'm a little bit less on the brilliant side with Balenciaga for this reason. I thought it was a lovely music video in a way. I like the tongue-in-cheek, the slight irony, and it was well put together. Yes, lovely. I know it's a pre-collection and there's more to expect, but collection-wise, for me, it was recycled and upcycled. So kudos to that. Thank you very much. But it was a little bit too much vêtements and not my favorite vêtements. And so if I think Demna, brilliant. If I think Balenciaga, I'm a little bit disappointed collection-wise. Okay. But I put that in the street, like the narrative on the street, not only for streetwear, but for let's produce collection that are wearable today, because that's what we need. And I guess that's what Paco Rabanne, Julian Docena and Chloe were doing, with actually putting the shows in the street. Bit boring, I think, a little bit too obvious, but I think there is a merchandise interest in that.
I think also for all three of those that you've mentioned, it's kind of about celebrating, and that sometimes can be a little boring, just kind of honouring the house codes, and it can feel a bit rinse and repeat. So much like how we saw with the rock stud, it's almost like a security blanket, and we're just seeing designers kind of be like, okay, we know that people love this. We really enjoy doing this. Can we put some spins on it? In this case of Paco Rabanne, bringing out some slightly more avant-garde pieces. In the case of Balenciaga, doing a witty film and upcycling. In the case of Chloe, trying to be a bit innovative with this odd triptych video, but not quite succeeding. But I think it was just about, we know this sells, we know this does well.
Yeah, I agree. And that's very well said. So I'm not really putting them in the one that I want to criticize.
Yeah.
But that's, I wasn't as excited as yesterday when I saw Margiela and Vuitton, or I wasn't as touched and happy and like a proud mama when I saw Thebe Marine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, in the young one, I would like to mention Copernic, because I wasn't that excited about the presentation, and I think, they're nerds for online, so I was expecting more. But the collection is really, really good. Another one that has matured, and I'm really happy about all the research they put into the textile and, the modernity of the germ-free protective textile for the jacket. I thought that was very, very, very interesting as well.
Yeah, I agree. One of their best collections, I think, or if not the best collection they've done. It was
probably the best collection, and you don't see it immediately. You have to go into the details of the collection as such. But that's interesting because you only get best surprises the deeper you go. I don't know if I'm making sense, right? And also Ottlinger, Super Women, and Esther Manas, One Size Fits All. These are brands that are really pushing the boundaries of what can be done and what can be changed. And I really thank them, because I'm really all for those, for those young designers changing the thing. Or if you're a big one, again, I repeat myself, really are pushing the boundaries. But we haven't spoken about Rick Owens.
Absolutely. Rick was just spectacular.
Nobody has mentioned that, but I don't think it was by chance that it was staged in front of one of the most known Littorian monuments of Italy. Littorian architecture was a fascist architecture, and it's probably the only beautiful in the sense of aesthetic thing that happened during that dark era in Italy. But that monument, for me, it was like the symbol of fascism in a way. Of fascist Italy. Do you think it was by chance?
Oh, I don't think anything's by chance with Rick. I think that was brilliant. And also just the fact that he kept saying, we've pared it down and there's just a few smoke machines, but it still was monolithically amazing. It was just so striking, and the collection was fantastic.
So strong. And, the fact that it's not every day that you see pink and red in his collection, but they were there. I mean, he has also a mind that it's so interesting. And as you said, nothing is by chance. And it was so compelling. And also, I think that he managed to style it in a way that you don't see it immediately. But if you look at the collection, it's very sellable and very wearable and so clever.
Absolutely. And that's something that's been kind of creeping in a little bit with Rick for a while, is this consciousness of commercial. Because often we look at it, and if you're not a true Rick stan wearing Rick head to toe, you might be put off and it might be a bit too gothic by you. But actually, there's no denying that this collection, there's something that people can pick out.
Yes, which I think it's a little bit what Miuccia did at Miu Miu as well. Mm-hmm. Very pretty collection, lovely idea of putting, the famous girls on front row on the big screens. I didn't understand the football reference. If not, when you look at the shoes, she made those football shoes that became city shoes, whatever. But I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty and cleverly commercial in a way, if I can say it like this.
I agree. I think it was actually a very, very good Miu Miu collection. I've kind of fallen out of love with Miu Miu for the past couple of collections, but this was great. And I like thinking of Miu Miu as Prada's younger sister, and this very much was that. And I also agree with you. I really like the use of kind of the front row, because actually Miu Miu is such kind of influencer culture. It's something to be seen in, something to be photographed in. It's very Instagrammable, and kind of riffing off that, I think, was really clever.
And it's very young, and they're talking about young. I must say that I don't know, it's because most of models couldn't travel, but don't you think that the models are getting younger by the day? I mean, all of these little women filled with makeup in most of the collections, apart from some designers used their friends and some real people, which I thought it was fine. And there was some casting which was more inclusive, but some of them had really young girls.
Yeah, particularly Chanel, I thought. It was a little bit creepy because that's not something I associate Chanel with, but I suppose it kind of worked for the collection. But yes, I think I don't really like to see a 15-year-old in
very white, very skinny, very young. And yes, I prefer Chanel now than before, I must say, as far as collections. But yeah, move on, it was pared down, just the big letters, references to Hollywood, whatever, but a bit boring, like Dior, a bit boring, nothing that links the collection to that singing. I just don't understand. I just don't get it. Yeah, and also there's nothing memorable in the designs, I sort of liked the Chanel one when I was watching it, but then you see things that are so much better, again, Nicholas, John, and you're like, come on, ladies, just show me something that I just, want to run out to a bank and borrow money and buy it all,
So what do you think for future fashion now? Do we think that the people who are caught behind this season will maybe get it next season, or will we always have the stragglers who are still doing fashion shows, or will we even need to have fashion shows next season? What do you think, or what do you hope for?
Well, that's a very good question, because I've been thinking about that a lot. I think that it's time to either deal with the changes and not pretend they're not happening, or go home, and so leave room and visibility to these young, brilliant designer and brilliant creative minds, or stay afloat like some big brands are showing they can. And it's not only about making millions in selling in the stores, it's also about fashion. It's very much about communicating and changing ways of doing things and thinking, and that's a duty that they have. So if they're not able to do that, well, just sell your stuff in your stores, but don't bother and bore me with presentations that have no meaning.
I kind of agree, though. I think I really, really hope that people look at this and think there's such an opportunity to think outside the box. And I hope that what Loewe did kind of trickles down, because I think people think that showing on the schedule is kind of God's law, and that is the be all and end all of your fashion week career. But actually, some of these big brands have stores. We could do, I'm spitballing as if COVID's not a thing, store events or digital events, or there's so much that can be done. If we think about the three that we liked, all three of them did such different things.
Yeah.
Something physical, something digital, something a bit more behind the scenes, something that you'll probably go and refer back to. I really hope designers look and say, actually, hang on, what works for us? Maybe it's just doing a small experience. Maybe it's just doing a digital talk. Maybe it's, just talking through my collection. It doesn't have to be the same as everyone else. It doesn't have to be a show that's then streamed. I really hope that people start to, we get a little bit more thinking outside the box.
Yeah, and I think, also it's not about sending journalists packages of foods or big, everybody still sent a lot of stuff, paper and things. And so, we talk that much about sustainability, but then nothing seems to have changed. So let's move on, people. Let's move on.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. We haven't, I think the digital has come around because of the pandemic, but actually it's brought with it some really beneficial, ethical, sustainable ideas. And the fact that digital is a lot less of an effect on the planet, let's push that.
Absolutely. All in all, it was an interesting month. I think there were some extraordinary things from London to Paris. I don't really remember what excited me in New York, but I still do remember some excitement I had in London. And I still cannot get over the yellow space with dystopian screens at the Prada Raf Simons show. Yeah. And so let's see. Now we will see things every month, apparently, because now people will present whenever they want, however they want. So there will be a lot to discuss, George, and it's always so lovely to chat with you.
So lovely to chat with you. I'm excited to see what crops up in the coming weeks. But thanks for being my partner in crime this month.
Thank you. Hope to do this again soon.
Speak soon, Mimma.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, George. Bye-bye.